So how many people in here have heard of Parks on the Air? How many have participated? How many are interested in participating? All right. It's a fun program. I would assume most everybody, you get into ham radio kind of having an idea what it is, and then you play with this function, play with that function, play with something else, and then you find something that you like. I ended up liking Parks on the Air. I travel a lot for work, so I get a lot of opportunity to sneak into a park here and there. And there's a lot of parks in this area that I had no idea existed. Some beautiful parks, and just found them. So collect awards, contesting, chasing DX. There are more and more countries that are hopping on board every day. Worked all states, hiking, camping, field day portable type operation, experimenting, building, testing radios, working weak signals, satellites, EME, backscatter. Then any mode you can think of other than a land-based repeater, you can use for Parks on the Air. And then QRP. 2016, they had a national event called National Parks on the Air. A group of guys liked it, so they started Parks on the Air. Encourages members to hunt those activating in the beautiful places. The activators go to the beautiful places. You got state and federal parks, historic sites, and WMAs. The activators and hunters earn awards. You got worked all states, a bunch of people, a bunch of places, all the places. And I would try to hit them all, but the list is ridiculous of all the different little certificates you can get. Trade them in for coffee.
Say that again.
Trade them in for coffee. It's a worthless piece of paper, but it's pride in getting them. So when participating, you're either an activator or a hunter. The activator goes to the location. Rules pretty simple. You and all of your equipment must be inside the park. Hunter, you can be anywhere you want to be. Activator says, hey, and then you go, hey, and that's all you need to do. A little bit more. Call sign involved, but that's honestly it. The operator can schedule, kind of makes it easy. Activator gets to decide what radio, what antenna, how to power it, where to operate from. Picked on a huge list. There's a map out there. You find parks, go to them. And whatever mode they prefer. You can run full legal limit on a park if you want to. Many use the old standard pen and paper, pencil paper, log in the field. You can use the logging program of your choice. A bunch of different ways to do it, and all of us will sit here and argue and say our way's best. You can rough it, hike miles to the top of a mountain deep in the woods, tent, or from your vehicle, picnic table, boat in the middle of the lake if you want to. So it's field day-esque, but you have a lot more freedom on how you do it. If you want to plug into an outlet, do it. If you want to bring a generator, do it. If you want to go battery power, do it. Mentioned earlier, the requirements for activator is you and all of your equipment must be in the perimeter of the park and on federal, state, or provincial owned land. There is private property located on federal land. That's a no-no. So if your cousin or you or whatever happen to lease a piece of property right in the middle of federal land, unless everybody else in this room can walk onto that land with someone, with no one going, hey, get out of here, it's fair game. If the park is a part of a trail or a river system, as long as you're within 100 feet of that. And the reason they do that, they don't want to set up right in the middle of the trail and aggravating the people using the trail. The hunter can contact the activator, honestly, from anywhere. Most of my hunting contacts are done mobile. I average about 50 to 70,000 miles a year behind the windshield. Make a lot of contacts in that many miles. You can only work from one reference at a time. K9-ish. Because we do have twofers, threefers, fourfers. I actually pulled off a miraculous fivefer. I had a lot of help, someone telling me where it was in Washington, D.C. I was in the mall, in a garden, next to a river, next to a trail that had a trail going through it. So you just had to find the right spot in the park. And if you ever do something like that, it's 5 separate logs that you as an activator have to turn in. Simple to do. To have a successful, I'll get there. You have to have at least, well, I won't say you have to, 10 QSOs or more count as a successful activation. I have 12 failed activations. So what? But I still turn those logs in so that the people that can hunt me can get credit for it. Every one that I failed was because the phone rang when shortly after I started, turn off the radio, go to work. But some people are embarrassed about that. It's okay. Equipment breaks, have to leave, whatever. Like I mentioned, still turn the log in. If you have 1 QSO, turn it in. That way the person that hunted you will get credit for it. 1 log can cover multiple days of activity. This includes club calls and multiple operators. You just have to have a separate call for each park. So let's say you went camping for 20 days, we're in a park, activate the whole 20 days, send in that 1 log, you would get credit for 20 separate activations.
Explain that again.
Okay. I kind of went over that a little quick, but the activation day is 000 to 2359. So that's 1 day. If you're in a park for 20 days and you make however many contacts, day 1, day 2, day 3, you turn in 1 log when you're done, or if you want to, you can turn 1 in every day, but let's just say you're out in the boonies, boondock, and you don't have access. So you're there for 20 days, just send 1 log in, it hits the system will break it up into 20 separate activations, and boom, you got a certificate for that. If you made over 1,000 contacts, you get a certificate for that. So there's just a whole bunch of levels of, oh, excuse me.
What are these logs turned into?
I'll get there. And I stole this, a lot of this presentation, and I hate the flippy whappers. Land repeaters are not allowed, satellites are. So that's really the only rule, is you can't use a repeater. You can do digital modes as long as it's not over the internet or a repeater. Fastest activation I've ever had was 7.5 minutes. Year before last, or excuse me, last year, 22 winter heat. Flip of the day, when all the old people start doing their winter heat QSOs, I let them know I was going to do it, so all of them answered me. I was sitting in a park, and it's not a record anymore, but it was. All you have to do is get in the park, CQ, 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 Kilo 9, Sierra Hotel Yankee, parks in the air at Kilo 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'll tell you how to figure that out in a moment. FT8, you can just run FT8. The amazing thing about POTA is if people regularly play ham radio, you are probably already in the POTA system and don't even know it. You may have talked to a hunter, that hunter turned their log in, so your call is in the system, because we've had a lot of people sign up and go, I didn't know I was playing POTA. That's the neat thing about POTA, you can be playing the game and not know you're playing the game.
Don't you mean if you talk to an activator?
But you may not know you talked to an activator. Steve's a sneaky son of a gun. I'll go out there and just call CQ. I don't know if I'm gonna have time to do an activation. Like I said earlier, I'm gonna turn my log in anyway, but I won't spot myself, or I'll just go on FT8. I brought 2 little radios that I built myself. I wanna see if they work. I go set my station up in a park, and I start playing FT8. So I've had people, I didn't know you were in a park. You didn't need to. So what I'm getting at, you may not even know you're playing the game, but you're playing the game.
So if you're outside your call area, do you include that in your call?
I do not. Some people do. As FCC concern-wise, you don't have to anymore. You can, the call, I hate to say this, but call regions don't matter anymore. It's nice. Generally, you can hear a call and go, oh, that person's over here, over here, over here. But we've got 4s living here. We've got 9s in California. You know, there aren't a ton of them, but it's not a requirement. You can if you want to. The only caution I would have on that is if we work park to park and you give me a suffix, I'm going to put your suffix in my log because I log what I hear. So then suddenly you're going, hey, why didn't I get credit for park to park? Well, you don't have that as a registered call, so it's not going to match. The only time it would definitely be required if you go out of the continental U.S., whatever the agreement with the country you're in calls for. And then for CW, it's just whatever the CW is for CQ POTA, call, park number. And so there's nothing complicated about it. The only requirement is that you exchange something. You don't have to have the frequency in your log. You don't have to have the RST in your log. You don't even have to have the park in your log unless you want to make sure people get credit for park to parks. I have a way that I log that hits those items, but they're not required by the POTA system. Generally, when we're making QSOs, we'll give a RST. As a hunter, I'll give the RST and where I'm at because they're expecting me to be in this region because I'm a 9. I may be in Washington State, so. And it confuses them at times. They're like, Washington, your name's Steve? Yeah. Not everybody sits home all day. And this one's just going how to answer a CQ. On a park to park, that means someone's in a park, you're in a park, you're talking to each other. There's awards for that. So all you would say is park to park. They go ahead, park to park, Kilo 9 Sierra Hotel Yankee at Kilo 1234. Hey, got you 5-9 from Kilo whatever. And like I said earlier, you don't have to have it in the log. It helps because they're going to go, oh, by the way, I'm also in this park, this park, this park, and this park. So if a person's in multiple parks, you log that individual that many times.
How close does the time have to be?
30 minutes more. Yeah. System figures it out pretty well. The rules are honestly very simple, but every once in a while they get a little confusing on the logging. That's where most people make the mistakes. But if you look here on the paper log, that's all the information that is needed. Your call sign, UTC time, mode. Most people will put frequency, it's not required. Mode is, I can talk to you CW, SSB, digital, FD4, FD8, PSK, and we can go through all the other ones. But if I hit all those modes on one band, that's 5 contacts with one person. So as long as you switch something, either switch band or mode, it's another contact. So let's just say 20 is the only band that's open today. For whatever reason, I don't have a lot of people responding, but the first 5 hit me fast. Swap modes. Those same 5 people, if they can work the other modes, they'll come back and work you to help you get your 10. So anyway, you can manually log in the field. A lot of people use F3, FJP. I use an app called Hammers. Some people have issues with it. It has always worked for me. Then why hunt? It's fun. It's easy, and it helps the people out in the field. Oddly enough, I've got a few good friends through POTA. I ended up connecting with them when I was traveling. After you've talked to the same person 50 times, or they've answered you 50 times, it starts going, if your pileup's not huge, and for some of us, even if it is huge, how's it going, Bob? How are the kids? Just a real quick actual QSO instead of just running through. As an activator, it's your activation. Run it however you want. Some of them want to talk between every QSO, and they do it, and they aggravate the dickens out of other people, certain other people, but it's okay. It's your activation. Do it the way you want to. Why do it? It's fun, and I'll say hunting and activating. It's fun. Make friends. It's a good way to test your equipment, your go boxes. You pick your stuff up, get out in the field, make sure all your stuff works. Learn frequently lost and/or forgotten items. I showed up at a park, set up my antenna, ran my coax, grabbed my battery. This battery's supposed to plug into something, isn't it? I forgot my transceiver. I know everybody else in the room might have forgot a fitting or a coax, or my transceiver was in the basement. I thought it was in my truck. So it's a good way to learn those little lessons when it's not important. As a hunter, you don't have to be in a designated park. You can be anywhere you are. As an activator in the park, you can use the POTA US website to find activators that have been spotted and try to raise them. As a hunter, you have no requirement whatsoever to log. Actually, you cannot log as a hunter. You have a question, sir?
What about confirming counties for county hunters?
It can be done, but you would have to ask the hunter, or excuse me, the activator. I've done it for people. Right, but if someone says, hey, it looks like you're in County X, I will say I will look into that and let you know, and I'll just make a note in my log in the comments section, and then I'll go, hey, Google, what county am I in? Or do research after the fact, because I'll be honest, half the time, I don't know what state I'm in. But if you think I'm in the right county and you're looking for something specific, I will take the time and go QRZ or Log of the World and put that in there. Shack allows you, that's a lot of people working from home now, or any of y'all still? Because a lot of people became hunters during while they're working from home. You just turn on the laptop, glance over at the spots every once in a while, turn to the frequency, you see an opening, grab your mic, make the contact, find the next hunter, go through it. Like right at the bottom of this, I actually didn't notice it earlier. Like I said, I stole a lot of this. Make sure your camera's off and muted if you're gonna do that. I'm gonna try to actually go to the website and show these, but this is the spotting page. So, and you can't actually see the sorting, but you can sort by band, you can sort by mode, you can put them in chronological order, frequency order, almost any order you can think of. You can make the people you've already hunted disappear or show, but it'll be grayed out, however you want to do it. There's a lot of ways to do it. But we can see that Kilo 8 Romeo HH is at a park. The park is Sauk Prairie State Rec area, and he's on 2115, and last time he was heard was less than a minute ago. After I work him, it's not required, but I try to always respot them. That way it shows they're active. After 30 minutes of inactivity, it'll drop you off. So by respotting them, it keeps that activator fresh. And go to the POTA website, which I'll tell you what it is in a moment. I'm going to try to show you some sample or show you some pages on it. It says you need to decide if you're going to be an activator and put together a mobile or portable station. I do both. I have a lot more activator contacts than I do hunter contacts, but I do both a lot. If you're not a member, join or consider joining. Become a frequent hunter. It helps the activators. Activators need hunters. Hunters need activators. Everybody working together. No fun in putting together a portable station and endlessly calling CQ with no one answering. It is a growing phenomenon. It may start fade in a few years, the way a lot of things do, but there are there's one plaque event. I don't completely agree with what they're doing this year. It's okay. Someone else runs the program. It's no skin off my game. I don't have to play that one day. They are going to do a contest one day this year. The rest of the year, POTA is not a contest. It's an activity. But they are going to actually do a contest this year. But they have winter Let's Go Play POTA Day. They have a spring Let's Go Play POTA Day, a fall Let's Go Play POTA Day, and a summer or winter Let's Go Play POTA Day, where it's extremely active. And some people get a little upset about us playing on the WARC bands, and we can be there because it's not a contest, except for the one day they're going to do this year. Equipment, I went over that. Any transceiver you have that's legal in the eyes of the FCC, that's what you need. You can use battery, solar, generator, line power. Any type of antenna. I try not to throw wires in a tree ever. Some people do. Some state parks care about it. Some state parks don't care about it. I've been to several parks where you can't see a tree. So I always bring a tree with me. I've got a 35-foot pole, and I'll just put either a dipole or a end fed on it. And then I also have just a little stick in a dirt antenna, throw some radios on the ground. Works fine too. Some states won't let you stick a little spike in the dirt. So it's kind of be aware of where you are, what you're doing. I have never asked for permission to be in a park. I'll take it back. I did one time down in St. John. There's a little house building. I had to get in the backyard because there was no street parking, no parking lot. They were about to close. I hollered at the person and said, "Hey, you mind if I hang out in the backyard for a little while?" And they said, "Go ahead." I didn't say, "Can I go set up a radio station, play ham radio for a while?" Just, and if you ever get hassled by the man, just be polite. You can always fight them in court later. It's a lot easier than getting handcuffed to run off. A lot of people like to put a big POTA flag up, stickers on the side of their car. It's good advertising for the program. My personal opinion, the way I feel, everybody do it your way. I don't want to advertise too much what I'm doing, why I'm there, because you got a special event permit? I'm not doing a special event. Well, you got a sign on the side of your car, man. You know, it's kind of hard to talk yourself out of, I'm just playing ham radio when you're advertising for an entity that it's not a special event. Personal opinion. If you want to go out and show what you're doing, that's fine. Okay. Correct, because a hotspot is a repeater. And it's the repeater of repeaters, because it does it on the interweb. Yes, sir?
Seen the late nighters or night owls?
Yes.
Point bonus and what's the time?
There's really no bonus. You get an award. The entire thing is just made up of little pieces of paper you can print. I've probably got 500 of them that I could print, but I'm not. I printed one. It's the one that I'm most proud of. And then I've got another one that I'm working on. I've got one state to go. I'm going to be very proud of it. But the first was the N1CC. That's 10 bands and 10 parks. So your equipment has to function fairly well. I did take the easy way out. I did 2 meters, 70 centimeters, and 220 during winter heat. But I've got a contact on all of, let's call them the common bands, 160 through 10. Doing that portable, the G90, in my opinion, is the best junkie radio in the world. I tuned a 40-meter in-fed and made contacts on 160 with it. I don't think I was putting out much power at that point, but hey, I made the contacts and all that. That's all that matters. Most important thing you can do if you're interested in getting into POTA is go to this website, parksontheair.com. There's a tab called Help, Getting Started. And then there is Rules, FAQ, and Guides. 97.3 of all questions will be answered in this area. It covers getting started, rules, code of contact, activator references, hunter guide, CW guide, digital modes guide, award events, video resources, support, resources documentation, glossary, and privacy policy. So, and as you go through, it'll cover more and more things. I heard earlier that y'all are wanting to do a club activation. Great deal. If y'all haven't done one before, read the rules on it, because a lot of people get surprised and go, oh, that didn't work the way we expected. And it has to do with how you log them. I've looked at how you do it and I've forgotten, so if I tried to tell you, I would misinform you, but make sure you understand the logging requirements before you start sending logs in. And the person that will send the club awards is whoever in the club signed up on behalf of the trustee to be a POTA entity. And then the folks that were out in the field can turn in their own logs for themselves. Go back home.
Do you do SOTA along with POTA?
I do not. I will contact SOTA folks, but I have not SOTA'd myself. I'm not getting back to the home screen. Okay, let me jump back to the presentation. There's one more thing I want to show y'all, and then I'll shut up. POTA.app. It is not an app, it is a website. And it is where all of the POTA happenings happening at. I was hoping I could get my computer up, that way I could show you, or my iPad, but it's having trouble with the screen. Once you sign in, so when you start, just hit sign up, go through the steps, create an account, you're golden. Come back, sign in. It'll have your call right where sign in is, then there's a drop down. And it tells you everything about you, about your time. It'll show you how many activations you've had, how many contacts you've had as an activator, how many parks you've hunted, and how many contacts you've made as a hunter. You go down a little more, go to awards, you can go down that thing, it'll show you all the awards you got. It'll show you what your standing is as far as the next award. It'll tell you how many states you've worked. I have hunted 51 states. What? Washington, D.C. is a wild card. So they figure some people may have a little trouble getting Alaska and Hawaii, which are the holdouts for most, but I've noticed a lot of people can't get Vermont because there's only 2 hams in Vermont, I guess. And I've activated 49 states. Alaska and Hawaii, they're the only 2 I have left to activate. And I'm doing one of those 2 this year and the other one next year. So like I said, that'll be my next proud accomplishment. I have hunted 7 countries, and that's going to get a lot easier as the program is building around the world. And so I showed earlier here, active spots makes sense. You got bands. To dial down, just click on it, pick the band you want to play on, pick the mode you want to play on, the program you want to play on. Program is entity. So you've got BY, JA, K, OA, VK. Hey, that's Canada. ZL, that's down yonder. HI is not Hawaii. A lot of people get tricked by that one. It's Dominican Republic. There's a guy down there that's extremely active. I was telling earlier, QRT, you either show them or hide them. I hide them. If they're QRT, I'm probably not going to work them. And then hunted, you can show or hide. And what that helps you do is when you're looking at this list and you're out there trying to hunt, you don't end up going, hey, I'm sorry. Hey, Bob, you worked me 10 minutes ago. I'm sorry, Steve. I've done it to other people. They've done it to me. It's okay. Just work them, move on. The hunter's usually the one that noticed they called you back. Just log them again. It'll show up as a dupe. You won't get credit for it, but it won't hurt you. There is no penalty for a dupe. Just log what you hear, turn it in. Then the other side of this is, how do you know where to go play? Click on map. Click on allow. And there you go. You go to one of those little dots. So let's pick this dot. I have no idea what that is. It is Kilo 0998. I want more info. It's in the United States of America. There's the coordinates, there's the time zone. Somebody earlier asked about late shift and early shift. It used to be right before midnight and early in the morning. They changed it to make it fair around the globe. So early shift at Horseshoe Lake is 0800 to 1400, and late shift is midnight UTC to 8 UTC. So pay attention to that. If that's something you're going for, it used to always be midnight until, but it really wasn't fair to the folks in Japan or whatever.
Why does it matter?
Just because there is an award for everything. Who ties their shoes the best? It's just a ton of awards.
Left shoe, right shoe.
Right. You work me 20, or you work a park as a hunter or an activator 20 times, you get an award. You work the same park 1,000 times, you get an award. You work then, and when you start off, they make you feel good. Hey, I got 10. Hey, I got 20. Hey, I got 50. Hey, I got 100. Hey, I got 500. Hey, I got 1,000. Hey, I got 2,000. So, but by then you're hooked. Like I said, I don't do it for the paper. I set personal goals and go out and meet them. I'll show you real quick. Derek WS9K's got 29 there at Horseshoe Lake. NOTDS has got 22. I've got 19. I'm not doing my 20th until I get 19 at 2 other parks, and I'm going to hit 20 at 3 parks in one day. I'm hard-headed. But I just mentioned earlier, there's stats out of the everywhere. I'll just show you one more thing, and then I'll see if y'all have any questions. So you can go to top activators. I'm only doing this to show you what crazy's like. N4CD has done 1,888 activations for a total of 119,064 QSOs. Pretty neat, huh? Until you look at Carrie in second place, 4,344 activations. She's done 980 parks. I'm pretty proud of my 180. With a measly 157,007 QSOs. Her and her husband, Ray, travel the country playing Parks on the Air. She is an excellent activator. She's one of those that, I don't know how people do this. QRZ, Kilo 9 Sierra Hotel Yankee, go ahead. And I had this guy, and this guy, this guy, and this guy. Come back to me. QRZ. I have a hard time. I think there was a Charlie somewhere in there, and then 9 Charlies come back. There was a Charlie Zulu somewhere in there. 2 of those come back. The Charlie Zulu that had a stutter, or with the 4 or whatever. But it's a good way to learn to work pileups. I do digital because I sit there and do homework. Okay, my job. While I'm playing ham radio, I'll pull out my laptop and type up reports while I'm actually playing ham radio. But they have all the data you can dream of is available. That's why I kind of wished I could log or get my computer in to log on. I don't even know what my password is to do it on this one. But there's data everywhere. So you've got spots, you've got activations. Activations are used to, I'm going out this afternoon. I don't think there's going to be any cell service. So I can say I'm going to be at Park X at 2 o'clock today. When I get to the park, if I am CW or digital, system will find it from the reverse beacon network, automatically bring it up as an active spot, and it's off to the races. If you're SSB, just get out there and call CQ. There's many a time we'll all go, the bands are dead. You got a path to somebody somewhere. And you ever look at contest weekends? Bands are completely full, active as you've seen them in months. At 00 whatever hour, the band goes silent. So I've made contacts on bands that I had no business being on. Just happened, somebody down the road caught me on ground wave to get me a band that I needed when I was working that N1CC. So spotting helps, not mandatory. You can see the top hunters of official events. Then you have the plaque event. That's the one. It was getting real close to contest last year, so they decided let's go ahead and make it a contest. And this brings you back to the first site we were at. So the two sites kind of make a loop, but POTA.app is where it's at. Someone asked me earlier, how do I turn in my logs? I'm gonna give you the first one. It's covered on the website, but that's not a great answer. And the problem I'm gonna have is I'm not gonna be able to do it. But earlier where I said, where your call sign is, you drop down, send my log in, click on that. It's got a self-uploader. You kick it in, system could do one of two things. It's gonna say, hey, you're a dummy, or it's gonna say, looks good. If it looks good, it's gonna show up and it'll be in your stats about 2 minutes later. So it works very well. Used to be we had to send them to our regional coordinator. For us, it would be K at POTA.app. I forget it was Sean Payne, but it was K something, and still, if we have an issue or if we really screw things up, we still email Sean. Yes, sir.
As a POTA nut, which is the most important column?
You know, this is ranked right now, and it's not. Don't think of it as a ranking. You can sort them any way you want to. Default, the system ranks it by number of parks. If you look at it, you'll see that. Ranks it as number of parks. But I can click on total QSOs, it'll swap those around, and I can do them from high to low, low to high. So it's just data. The guys that run the program are data nuts. So I'm thinking they're from the IT world because they're data nuts. So all the data is there, and it just happens to be that the top activators is ranked by parks. And I'm in the top 100 for a while. Because you'll notice when I showed the parks, we've got a nice little circle around here. And there are a lot of parks around here. I get more enjoyment going to new parks. It's just how I roll. I do go back and do local parks, but what I truly enjoy is discovering a new place.
Are those the yellow dots we saw, are those the only official parks, or those ones?
Correct, yes. Those are your state parks, federal parks, WMAs, and trails. The one that gets confusing for us is the Lewis and Clark Trail. And I don't know the number of it right now. I have activated it, but it only shows in one place in the entire country. You've only got one dot. There's only one dot for anything. I have activated it in Missouri, I have activated it in North Dakota, and I have activated it in Oregon. Haven't activated it in Illinois, and that's where I live. But anyway, you have to be, some of the things you have to trip across. And the forfer that I did in Oregon, that happened to be one of them right next to the Columbia River. It just happened to be the route they took, and Columbia River was something, and Columbia River Gorge was a park, Lewis and Clark was a park, then I was in a state park that was in a federal park. So, but yeah, the ranking is that's just happens to be the default, and it's by number of parks. Yes, sir.
So you said you were at a place where there were 4 different
Right.
parks there. So you would have to make a QSO using each code?
No. The only time I would give the 5 parks I was in is if someone called me with a park to park.
Okay.
I would give them all 5. And you can only spot at one park at a time too. So when I would spot at it, then I put in my notes, 5 for, here's all the parks I'm in. But then when he respots me, he doesn't notice it's a 5-fer, so now it's his 5-5 MO. And that's okay. Because like I said earlier, the hunter does not have to know they're playing the game. But if someone calls me for a park to park, I'm gonna let them know I'm in 5 parks because they have to log me 5 times for both of us to get credit for it.
So if you make one QSO, it will count for all 5?
Correct.
Okay.
But I have to turn in 5 logs.
Okay.
So the program that I use, Hammers, I click a button that says duplicate log. What's your new park number? I type it in, I'm done. Or you can use ADIF master or similar, duplicate it, edit a column, change the file name. So it's relatively simple.
Who funds
Parks identified with a kilo number?
Excuse me?
Are all these parks identified with?
All the ones in CONUS are kilos.
Who does the funding for this?
It is a
Will the listener,
501c.
will the listener know what that is?
Yeah, I'll show you real quick. So we're going to go back to spots. We're going to go program. So I happen to know that was Japan. But when I look at this, I've got the J144 in the Oku Preferential Nature Park, JPSZ. Where is it? I still don't know. You know, like I said, I happen to know it was Japan. But I can click on this guy. So I just hovered over him, and it tells me what city and state he's in. So that's Yama in Chino City in Nagano, Japan. So when I said these guys are data nuts, I'm telling you they're data nuts. Just by hovering over the name, it tells me who the person is and at least where they're from. Like I said, I happen to know anybody know what K-land is? I don't either, so let's go look. That's ours. That's funny. So that's the U.S. OA, I really have no idea. Is it? Okay. So, but I said, if you don't know, you can hover over the person's name. If you still don't know, just copy paste it into QRZ and go, oh, that person lives in Peru, but that day they might be in Venezuela, you know. So I try not to worry about it too much unless I'm country, you know, some people want that, I need that country, I need that country. People have gotten their worked all states in 2 weeks playing Parks on the Air. It's always, I find it pretty neat when I'm on the Facebook site and I see a guy go, I got general 2 weeks ago and I got my worked all states. Pretty impressive. And then you have a few other people out there who still need Japan or Vermont. Any other questions?
So where's the funding for this come from?
Me? It's a 501c. There is a donation box on the website. 1 time, 2 times, 3 times. They had an Amazon Smile account. I don't know who in here has heard this. Those are going away for almost all organizations. There will still be a few that are in the program, but most are going away. They counted on that a lot. They have a few vendors that are private vendors, and they have to give a cut to sell anything with POTA on it. They do take their trademarks serious because they're a 501c, and they're running on a shoestring budget, and they've all got real jobs.
So what about state memorials? Are those considered activatable?
It depends. It depends.
Is there a list?
Yes. Mentioned earlier, there's data. So, and someone had asked this on the page today. So I can go to here. I can go to, don't tell me I can't see it because I'm not logged in. On here, it's a park, gotta use my eye. Got a park list. Then I go pick the place I want. So these are all the countries that play Parks on the Air. You notice some of them still have 0. It's because they're new. Italy's got 1,600 parks. Japan's got 1,154 parks. All these others with 0. They are working on them as we speak. They're not adding anything new to the continental U.S. or Canada. Oh, sorry. I'll just do it with Malaysia. So I accidentally picked Malaysia. Can't do what I wanted to do there. Sorry. Let me go ahead and get to the good old U.S. So we go to the United States. There are 9,700, I think it was 67 entities. And then I click this drop down. where's this drop down? This one. So I'm just going to pick Florida instead of Missouri, but I picked Florida. That's not going to do us any good. I just downloaded it. No, I didn't. Sorry. Okay, so now I've got a list of all the parks in Florida. I can download this list, put it into a spreadsheet, or I can upload it to a Google map if I wanted to. But you can put it on a spreadsheet and then search for the park that you're looking for. Well, I said typically it's state parks, federal parks, WMAs, with some exceptions.
Is the WMA a wildlife management?
Wildlife management area, and some states call them something else.
Does it have to be federal or?
It could be federal or state. And the way I do it is I want to know what's around me. The arch is one of them, but I want to know what's where I'm at or where I'm going. So I can look at here, St. Louis area, and then when you slide the map over, you can spin it and all kinds of crazy stuff. But I can slide the map over and I see all these little dots. I'm going out to Grafton this weekend. What parks are there? Well, I've got the conservation area. I've got the whatever it was called. If you look at the one just west of Alton, that's also in Illinois. Even I said earlier, there's only one dot. But whatever that little, it's a wildlife area that happens to be in Missouri and Illinois. Then you got the Grafton, then you got the one down by the river by the little building. Then you got the one you go up the gravel road. I don't know what they're called, but.
Activate the loading dock?
Which one?
There's only one in Grafton.
But like here is Copperhead Hollow State Wildlife Area. And I use several methods. Usually you can Google Copper Hollow State Wildlife Area and by golly, it'll take you there.
So is there a reverse lookup for the K numbers?
There is.
And is
Right here where it says search for call signs or parks. So if someone gives you a K number and you want to know where it is, type it in the top, hit enter, and boom, there it is. But one of the mapping coordinators for Iowa emailed me and said, dude, how did you find that park? So Google Maps doesn't always get you there. I went to the Iowa DNR and found a little more information. Then I went to another website. There was a bunch of hunter dudes, and they said to get there, turn by the gas station, take the gravel road like you're going to Bob's Steel, go right in front of their parking lot, and then you follow a gravel road around. Google Maps would want you to park right on I-80, jump a fence, swim across a ditch to get to the WMA. But sometimes you got to do a little research. 99% of the time, you can hit Google the name or click right here, go to the DNR website. Somewhere on the DNR website, there should be an address. I didn't see one for this one, but you can call Pierre Marquette and say, how do I get there? Yes, sir.
What's been your favorite park?
All of them. I would say the most beautiful park I've done was either the one in Oregon, and I can't remember the name of it, but I was on a cliff by a lighthouse activating a park while looking at the park across a bay that I was going to go activate as soon as I got 12 at this one. And then when I got to the other one, I was in a parking lot with trees and couldn't see the ocean. But I was right on the ocean. There was one in Vermont. There was about a 35-mile drive on a dirt road through the woods, going uphill both ways in the snow. No, but it was just a long drive on a dirt road. It's actually part of the BDR, which is the back road discovery route I discovered just recently. But just drove the truck out there, 0 cell phone service. So I did that entire activation without spotting. It is what it is. Like I said earlier, people don't need to know they're playing Parks on the Air for it to count as an activation. Just turn the VFO, hear people talking. As long as they're, find an opportunity to legitimately break into the rag chew if they're rag chewing. But yes, sir.
So if you, let's say you wanted to activate a federal wildlife management area that happened to be on a U.S. island,
Okay.
can you do that? Do you need a special? Can you use a special event call sign with POTA?
You can. Let's say there's an island somewhere, you want to go do it. The folks that just did, what was the crazy one? That was a POTA activation. I'll guarantee you they didn't give the park number out. Well, I think they might have gave the park number 1 or 2 times, but anybody who made a contact with that is now in the POTA system as a hunter. So what you do is register your special event station. You put the start time of it, the end time of it. So any contacts that are logged under that special event call during that time frame will go in your permanent record, but then when the next person gets that special event station, they would change it, or it would just disappear from the POTA system, but it would stay under you. So, and then that is assuming that WMA on an island is part of the POTA system, because there are a few parks where people go, it's impossible to get there. There are a handful in this country that we can't get to because all the people that surround it will not give the government a road to it. And the government hadn't gotten mad enough to make them give us a road to it. But those are very rare.
This one's accessible only by boat.
And there are several of those out there. So as long as it's in the POTA system, it's fair game. And if you happen to be doing it as a special event, there is a way to get a special event call sign assigned to you. And
Do they have to be a 1x1?
I don't know. It would be whatever your special event call sign was. ARRL, their WA whatever. They had 1 through 9 or whatever. They were doing something a few months ago. I don't know if
W1AW.
right, but they were giving WAWs stroke 1, stroke 2, stroke 3, stroke 4 across the country for whatever it was they were doing. I forget what it was, but a lot of those people happened to activate parks while they were doing it. So there's, okay. There's all kinds of ways to do it. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
You know, I just was looking at something, and the no QSO party still has 3 1x1 calls.
Okay.
So if you're planning on working that for 2 days, you know, they're looking for people to take them.
Got it.
Take it and go do a POTA as part of it.
Right.
They count.
Yep, exactly. And as long as you have permission from whoever's holding it, it's yours for the day.
You mostly use the G90?
I brought my stuff in. I noticed most of the people in the room have been doing it for a while. We have one new tech. What I like to show people, because a lot of times you'll be in a room and they're like, man, this ham radio stuff is expensive. It can be. 25 bucks, 60 bucks, 60 bucks. And this gets us 80, 40, 30, 20, 20, 17, 15, 12, and 10 on any digital mode that your heart desires. $60 battery. I can activate this radio almost forever on this battery. Everybody's got 9 of these laying around the house. Built the cable for about $1. I've got an antenna I'm not going to pull out of the bag, but it's a $100 antenna. And I use a different laptop. Need a laptop, but I bought one of the $60 Micro Center laptops. So I've got a station, cost me just over 200 bucks. But if I sit this to the side and I use my $14 17-foot fly fishing pole and an antenna that I made myself for, I'm going to inflate a little bit, $5. I have worked the world. 90% of my Parks on the Air contacts are with this radio. And whoever doesn't know, it's a QRP Labs QDX digital transceiver. It's 5 watts max. No knobs, no dials. It has a power plug, a USB plug, and an antenna port. That's all it has. Everything else, the computer tells the radio what to do. But I like to just bring those to, so people go, it's not as expensive as I thought. You know, everybody's like, oh man, that ham radio stuff is crazy. And I get it, FT8 is not for everybody. It's like watching paint dry. I'll admit it, and that's what I do most of the time. But I also have a $50 SSB radio that I've got hundreds of contacts on. Is it aggravating? Yep. Do I have to use headphones to hear? Yep. Did I have to build a bandpass filter? Yep. You know, but, or I'm sorry, yeah, bandpass filter for AM radio because it's got no front end on it. But I've made over 1,000 contacts with a $50 radio. And that's SSB because I'm too busy and too hard-headed. My brain doesn't work right for CW.
What would you do with that?
I wish it did. The True SDX. So you can get it for $50, print your own case. Some assembly, okay, all assembly required. Yes, sir.
How far in advance do you have to notify that you're going to be in a park?
You don't even have to. If you're going to do an advance notification, hey, I'm going, I don't know what the time frame is. Let's go. I'm going to pull it out of the air and say 3 days, 4 days, somewhere in there. I know it'll tell you when you go to the site to do it, but you can spot yourself. I've made 5 QSOs. It slows down, so I better spot myself. So I'm already in the activation when I spot myself. So there's no requirement to spot yourself. You can pre-spot yourself whenever, and then you can spot yourself in the middle of an activation. The only thing that gets weird if you're doing CW or a digital mode, and you're going from a park to a park, wait at least 31 minutes before you start at the next park. Because RBN works well. You'll respot yourself at the new park, and then you deet or reverse beacon network picks you up and goes, hey, they're still at the park. I'm going to freshen their spot. So it overwrites the spot you just put in to respot you in the park that you were in, and then you type yourself back in, and it goes, no, I'm RBN, I'm going to win. So they say if you wait 30 minutes, so I try to do 31, but if I go from a park to a park, and sometimes I do, like it's across the street, I just activate. I will not spot myself at the first one. And that's the joy of digital modes. You can find 10 QSOs almost anywhere pretty quick on digital modes, especially, and if you're an activator, you don't have to call CQ. You can go to a park and hunt, get 10 contacts. You can go to a park, I don't know how else you do it, you'd have to call CQ if you're not just pouncing on people or spin the VFO, find random people calling CQ. You go on 10 meters right now and do it.
Wildlife management area, you would need permission, correct?
I'm gonna go around this one just a little bit. I have never asked for permission for any park I've been to except for the one that I needed to get in the backyard. I don't want somebody, what are you doing? You're trying to break in. I firmly believe in asking for forgiveness if I need to, but I do go to the website and read the rules. There are certain wildlife areas that you cannot go into during hunting season if you don't have 2 things, and that's a firearm and a hunting license. You cannot be on the property. So if you are, you can get fined. So you do need to understand the rules and regulations of your state and the areas that are going into. So if you're not sure, call and say, hey, what do I need to be on your property?
Right, this is a national, so
Right.
where do you go there?
Call. Because there's a big national something another, South Central Illinois, I can't remember the name of it, huge area. Got a bunch of ponds and stuff, but they do have a building there. I stopped in to get my crippled veteran, getting the federal park free card. So I just happened to say, hey, where would be a great place for me to put up a ham radio antenna that's in the shade? And they said, go right here. So it's not that I'm scared to ask, I just, my opinion is,
Particular place, there's no one to ask.
I'll guarantee you there is.
No, there's no one to ask there.
No, I understand, but that's where you go to the website, find out who's in charge of it, contact those people. There was a park I was looking for just north of Quincy that actually no longer exists because the state gave it to the county in 1976, but it's on POTA for whatever reason. I was trying to find it. I could only find a county park. I'm looking for a state park. I saw a park ranger. I pulled up and I said, hey man, where's this park? And he goes, I have never heard of it. I said, how long have you been with the state? And he said, 14 years. And I'm like, it's odd you haven't heard of the park. Look, it's right here. And he goes, man, that's always been whatever county park. So I did a little digging later and went, oh man, that's the wrong park. So it's no longer activatable in POTA, but if you activated it thinking you were in the right place, you still have credit for it, the people that hunted you. It's 90% on the honor system, and I have a suspicion there's one person that plays Parks on the Air that activates from his house. Other people think the same thing, but we're not gonna call him a liar unless someone happens to see him activating in his house. You know, it's on the honor system. Just is what it is. Yes, sir.
What would you say your average activation time is for a given park?
Anywhere between 7.5 minutes. We did that one time, but I honestly, between 15 minutes to an hour. And there are those days where you're like, come on. You know, just sometimes it's slow, or everybody's eating Thanksgiving dinner and my dumb butt's in a park thinking I'll get it activated. You know, but, and if you're doing CW or SSB, it'll a lot quicker.
Do most folks quit after dark?
Hunting, no. Activating does slow down a lot, just because jobs. There are a few people that will activate 24 hours a day-ish. You know, it's not like that same person, but any time of the day, there's a K9SHY. He lives in an RV in the middle of nowhere, and then he hops to the middle of nowhere into the middle of nowhere. If you ever work him and you go, man, I guess he's not turning a log in, 4 or 5 months later, oh, there it is. Because he has no connectivity to anything. And then when he gets back to Wi-Fi, he updates a log.
Do a lot of the parks close at dusk?
A lot do. And that's another thing to be aware of, because you don't want to drive 3 hours, you know, hey, I've got a little time this evening, so I'm going to drive 3 hours, or heck, you know, even an hour or 30 minutes is a huge inconvenience. So pay attention to it. Like Horseshoe Lake's open past dark, but Peabody River King, sun goes down, we're done. So the research is very easy to do, especially in Illinois and Missouri. Almost all the parks have a link straight to the park. And then just go through, and if you have any questions, call. And not that I'm scared to tell anybody what I'm doing, but I see no need to confuse our park rangers or whomever by saying, I want to go there, set up a radio station. Oh, wait, radio station, that's controlled by, well, no, it's not a real radio station, because do you know it's illegal to have a radio station on federal land without paying millions of dollars every year and doing environmental studies and all that? New FCC rule, but we're not a radio station. But try to say, hey, I want to set up a radio station. Dude, you need all this done to do a radio. Well, yeah, but it's just a little transceiver, but you've already got their mind going, oh, we can't do that, we can't do that, we can't do that. So I'd much rather play the game of, what are you doing? Talking to my friends. Anyone else?
You activate the same location multiple times.
It's encouraged. You get an award for 20, 40,
From the same park.
50, 100, 200, 400, 500, 1,000, 2,000. Yes, but it honestly is encouraged. There are activators that are trying to get every park in the state. So there's also an award for that. Hunt every park in the state or activate every park in the state. So 50 people got you today or 100 people got you today. Well, there's still 11,000 people that would like to get that park. So if you go to that same park day after day after day after day, there's a guy named Bill Brown in Florida. He made it last year, activated a park every day last year. He's on a roll to do it again this year. So he's doing a little circle in his area in Florida. So same park every day is perfect. And so there's an award for, like I said, 20, 40, whatever, and then there's another award for 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 QSOs from the park. So there's opportunity to play the game however you want to. Okay, and, oh, sorry.
One quick question, the deferred frequencies, I've heard some of a lot of it around 14,250.
Yeah, it kind of seems like, and there's two things. One, people are creatures of habit. And it kind of helped, if you think about it, let's just say there's a guy on 14250. And I'm about to activate. So being a good activator, I want to go look, I'm going to look first, make sure none of my brothers or sisters are out there activating on this frequency. Someone else is on 250. Let me go to 254 and listen to see if that's clear. Because now when someone hunts them, if they're sorting by frequency, which makes sense, because now all I got to do is start at the bottom of the band. Who's there? Up, 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 yep. Go ahead. And then who's on the next higher freak? Up, 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 up. So I've only got to turn my VFO one way to work or listen for all the hunters or activators that are out there. So people kind of group up and they're creatures of habit. Second thing, there are a lot of new hams playing POTA. There's new techs out there on 10. There's paths, both tests the same day on HF. Some of them are doing dumb things. Politely inform them they're doing dumb things instead of getting mad and hollering at them like they're on SSTV, freak, activating. The only way you know about those things, I'm a fairly good study. And then when I saw the blankety blank operator's guide from the ARRO, what's the name of it? Considerate operator's guide. There's not a single mention of the considerate operator's guide in any of the study material for your ham licenses that I recall. If anybody else recall seeing that? It's a gentleman's agreement. We've been doing it forever. But until you let someone know it exists, they do not know it exists. So they're, the CW area is there, the digital area is there for a couple bands, SSB's there, but do we play digital down here and SSB up here? How do you know these things until you go, it says I can play here. I didn't know we'd all agreed that I could play this part here and this part over here. So it's just something to be cognizant of when you're out there, because a lot of people get aggravated. They're playing the radio wrong. Just let them know. Anyone else? Okay, I was activating a park in Texas at I got to the park about 4 o'clock in the morning, set up my antenna, making QSOs. Just as the sun was coming up, a car pulls up beside me. It was 2 ladies. Hey, mister, what you doing? Playing ham radio. What's that? Well, I've got a radio, a transceiver in my vehicle, and I can talk to people and they can talk to me. I'm in a park, and that's what I do. I feel compelled to ask you this question, so go ahead. She goes, are you a Russian spy? So I said, ma'am, I'll tell you exactly what a Russian spy would tell you.
You're taking your time.
No, I'm not. I don't know if that made her feel better or worse, but I'll come get the thumb drive in a moment. That's all I got to say about that.
Good deal. Thank you.